So the Bullitt was running really good. It was just dyno tuned. It put down the 440 to the wheels. The car was very nice to drive. It was very drivable, even though we had to stop tuning because it lost an ignition coil, and we'll talk about that later. The car would later make 520 to the wheels. So the car was doing excellent, and the next thing I wanted to do was go out and practice launching on slicks. I'd always used drag radials at the drag strip and on the street, and they always hooked really well. Now I know the slicks would hook a lot differently on the track than they would on the street, but I wanted to know how to launch the car on the street and on the strip with slicks, and so I bolted up the slicks. And I went out and I had a bunch of fun. And sometimes you got to spend some money, you got to burn up some tires, and you got to get the skill. So here's some videos of me practicing launching the car with slicks. I like right here, you can see when I launch how it vibrates the camera. It's so fierce. So that was a lot of fun. It did pretty well. I noticed that I was short shifting, and so it wasn't like that was a good run through the gears. It was just trying to get first gear to hook. And so I had made a lot of noise, and so I drove over to my friend's house. This is a picture at my friend's house with the Bullitt hiding behind the wall. And my friend had said he heard me out there practicing, and I didn't want to cause too much attention in a small town. So the next thing I did was get the car prepped and ready to take it to the drag strip. The Hoosier slicks come with kind of a lighter yellow color, and I wanted to make that look better, so I colored them in with a paint pen. I just went to Walmart in the craft section and got a white paint pen, and I got these slicks looking really nice, just so that they'd be kind of fun to see going down the track with bright white letters on the side. I loaded the Bullitt onto a trailer and I towed it to the racetrack with the Tahoe, and it was fun to be there. I took the whole family with me, and it was really nice to show them around to the racetrack to where I was always going, because they always stayed home while I went racing. It was always late night thing. But here's the Bullitt in the staging lanes, and my family getting to enjoy the nice weather down there in Las Vegas and get to see the track. The first race I did was against a turbo two-door BMW. It was a very fast car. He trapped 120. He trapped it a lot higher than I did, but I ran a 12.1 to his 12.3.
Yeah, I did. There's Dada.
The next run was just against this Honda. The car was starting to get hot from heat soaking. I ran a 12.3 on this one. The car ahead of me had an issue, so we had to wait for a second. So now I decided to back up and heat the tires up real quick before my next run. You can see in this still shot how the front suspension's fully unloaded. The tires didn't come off the ground, but they were really close. I cut a 1.7 60 foot on that one, and that's the fastest 60 foot the car has ever seen. And it felt like it was going to rip the steering wheel out of my hands. The next race was against this SRT truck, and he had some kind of an issue. But the Bullitt was starting to heat soak. It ran a 12.5 on this one. And here comes my sister, who has the Red Fire GT to watch.
That's Justin.
My calves are burning.
So it was a good night of racing. We went to Taco Bell on the way home, had a great time, got the street tires back on the car, and I was riding around with my friend and my other friend in the back seat. And so there were three of us in this car, and this SS came up. It was a turbo car, and he kept running away from me. He was playing around on the freeway, but every time I tried to get next to him, he'd run. And I finally caught up to him, and you can see here that I'll give it a run real quick, you know, just to tap the throttle when he takes off, and I still chase him down, and I still caught him and edged him out.
It's a run on me. Yeah, it's a girl, I think. Is it? I think so.
So that was a very impressive race for the Bullitt because my friend weighs over 200 pounds. He's a big guy. He had me, I'm like 165, plus my friend in the back, and so it really weighed the car down. Plus we were in fifth gear doing this pull because he kept running ahead. He knew that he had no chance down low. And so I was still able to get ahead of him, even doing a pull in overdrive, which isn't good for the car because there's a lot of heat and it's a lot of load. And so you can see I got in it, I got out, and I had to get back in it. And he started ahead. And so that guy got on to the local car club group and said, "Who has that blue Mustang? That's the fastest car I've ever raced." And that he said his car was all turned up and had a bunch done to it, and that he's never lost to a Mustang before. Well, he lost to the Bullitt, and it was a good lose because the Bullitt really had to put in a lot of work to be able to do that. Here's some flyby videos. So I wanted to hear what the Bullitt sound like from the outside with the exhaust and the supercharger and everything. So I let my brother drive the car, and I warned him that first gear with 410s and 500 horsepower comes up real quick, and you can see he's still over-revved it on accident. The next thing I did was I bought a reproduction mud flap piece for the side skirt, and I plasti dipped it black. And that looked so good on the car. It was always missing that. I had put one on there for my cousin's Bullitt that I borrowed for a little bit, but I always wanted that piece back. And so that was really important to me. I did get that in Las Vegas from a guy who was making the reproduction ones. I don't know if he's still doing it, but I was really happy to finally get that back together. So now the car looked complete from the outside. And my friend had this Dark Highland green Bullitt that was totaled, and he gave me some things off that car, especially the floor mats. I took those and I cleaned them up. You can see how much better they look now. They're not perfect, but they are really cool Bullitt floor mats, and so that helped make the Bullitt look better as well. So the car was coming together. I really enjoyed buying the book, Engineer plus Enthusiast equals Excitement. This book is basically an interview with Scott Hogue, who owns MRT, and he was working for Ford at the time when they developed the Bullitt and the Mach 1. So he had everything to do with the two projects, and so it was fun to learn a bunch of things about the Bullitt and the Mach 1. So the Bullitt was looking really good. It was coming together. I enjoyed reading the books about it, having some fun. Now, I'm going to leave you with some clips of the car doing some flybys again, and a burnout on a bridge that I always wanted to go do a burnout there, so I did. But stay tuned, there's more coming to this story. Things are going to get really interesting, I'll tell you that much.
Look what you've done!
I got out of there just in time.